excited to hear what I had to say. Alright, we are live now, though. I've taken us to the live.
Oh, we're live. Can I see the Umi?
Yep. Let me get to it.
Yep.
Share screen. At a crisp 30 FPS.
That's me. There we go.
Oh gosh,
Alright.
which window's my game? There's the game.
And so we are back.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone.
You like my cool new 2024 thumbnail that I made?
Oh, I didn't see. Wait, let me go to the YouTube so I can see it. I didn't see it. It's not letting me see it. I can't.
Yeah, you like it?
It's not letting me see it. I don't know.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
I gotta go to the YouTube 1 second. on my phone. Where is it?
No,
Oh yeah, that is a pretty good one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get the sigil, but I couldn't find
A JPEG of it.
I couldn't find a PNG of it actually, because I needed to not have a background. I was gonna overlay it onto the shed door, and it wasn't working because the only thing it would have been on there, but it also would have been in a white square.
Yeah, a white square behind it. That's funny.
Oh, so I was like, well, I'll take something else that we saw last episode then.
I'm gonna mute my microphone and listen to hear our audio level.
Okay, good idea. Yeah, because I have a new microphone, audience. You may be able to tell it. I'm not sure. If you go back and listen, maybe I will if I listen to this and then listen to another one later. But I have a brand new microphone.
It sounds... Oh, let me turn it down. Oh, my microphone's gonna pick it up. It sounds pretty good, from what I can hear. Both of us sound like we have pretty decent audio. So, what? Schroger's left something in the chat, which is a lie, a blatant lie. Anyways.
Yeah, it is. Apologies, I'm awful tired. I finished a shift at work, got a haircut, test drove a car, deposited something in the bank, came back home and ate.
Dang. So we both been busy all day.
Yep, but I'm ready now to read.
Read?
Yeah.
Alright. We're page 2. We're page 2 right there. We're page 2. December 21st was the last day we did this? Yeah, I think it was.
Yep.
Alright. Welcome back to
Last we
Rokimjima.
left off, things were not looking good.
Things took off last we left off. That's right. I remember we were in here now because I remember us talking about we were hypothesizing or devil's advocating in this room.
Exactly.
All that could be heard was the sound of the rain, the voices from the kids' TV, and the voices from the kids' TV program that Maria was watching, and the engrossed Maria's cackling voice. Oh boy, I have to start already.
Good luck.
In other words, what greeted them as they returned dumbfounded from that horrible, bizarre scene. Remember, everyone just died. Not everyone, but like half the people on the island just died, audience.
6, yep.
Was the voice of Maria as she rolled around laughing at the TV. Those who returned to the room didn't know how to explain to Maria that her mother was dead, and were trapped by a suffocating silence. At first, Maria returned their stares with a dubious look, but when she realized they weren't trying to blame her for anything, she ignored them, and again immersed herself into the TV program.
Oh, there it is.
The children wordlessly sat down heavily on the sofa, wordlessly and heavily.
Heavy words.
Their minds were probably blank from their state of shock.
Understandable.
Everyone had already cried and mourned so much, but now they just vaguely sat there, their faces seeming to have lost all emotion.
All emotion.
Only Kenon had returned to his usual calm expression. However, that probably didn't mean he'd been able to wipe out the shock. Nothing was reflected in his eyes as he stared into empty space. Hideyoshi kept on fidgeting, and every time he remembered that horrible scene, he started muttering about how he couldn't believe it, how it couldn't have been something from this world, how it must have been the work of demons.
Alright, calm down, Hideyoshi.
Every now and then, his mutterings produced a question directed at Nanjo. But the latter kept repeating in a calm, doctor-like manner that nothing could be understood by only glancing at the scene, and that until the police arrived, they wouldn't learn anything. However, Nanjo only appeared calm next to Hideyoshi, who simply couldn't suppress his agitation and fear. In fact, Nanjo had also received a huge shock, and his face was deathly pale. Maybe that atmosphere was why she tried to rise to the challenge and take charge. Natsuhi appeared to be unchanged from her normal attitude, and she briskly gave directions. I will go see father. Genji, quickly contact the police. Certainly.
I wonder if you would allow me to tag along, Natsuhine-san. Since Kraus Nissan is now gone, the task of aiding father has been left to me. It would be improper of me to relax here while relying entirely on you.
Natsuhi was struck speechless by Eva's aggressive move in a situation like this. She seemed to be claiming that, with Kraus dead, the one to take responsibility shouldn't be his wife, but herself, the next highly ranked in the family. Or maybe she hadn't been at all happy when Natsuhi took command without reference to her in such an extreme situation. However, even Eva's mind had been blank from shock until a moment ago. She only came to her senses after Natsuhi started giving orders. Just do as you'd like. Natsuhi started walking without saying a word more. Eva followed behind her. As they did, Kumasawa ran into the parlor. She usually wasn't the kind of person to run around, so under normal conditions, most people would have taken her entrance as a sign that something was the matter.
Something more?
But because everyone was still stricken with shock, they hardly even noticed her.
Madam.
If you're looking for Natsuhine-san, she went to see father. She'll probably be back soon. What happened, Kumasawa-san?
You see, in the dining hall there was blood. Blood!
The ears of everyone in the parlor twitched. Everyone thought the same thing. I hope I misheard that. Any container can only hold so much, and no one here would be capable of handling yet another tragedy.
Oops.
So they all thought it. I hope I misheard that. What happened? In the dining hall?
When I went to the dining hall to set up for breakfast.
Guagua! The first one to start running was George. His harsh footsteps jogged Hideyoshi and Nanjo to their senses, and they chased after him. Battler and the others followed. They flew into the dining hall one after another, but they didn't find any change that might have caused Kumasawa to go pale. To those who had viewed the gruesome scene in the storehouse, it was a bit of an anticlimax. However, Kumasawa, who had followed them, pointed it out. There really were some traces of blood remaining on the floor. Compared to that terrible scene, it wasn't very impressive. However, if you calmly thought about it, this definitely indicated the loss of a lot of blood.
There's another puddle of blood over here. What in the world?
It appears that a great deal of time has passed. It's probably safe to say that they were killed here last night. It definitely looks that way. We were talking together in the dining hall until late into the night. After that, someone must have forced their way in.
Dad, when did you and Mom slip out of the meeting and go to sleep?
It was a little past midnight. So, we should probably assume it happened after that. Are you kidding me? Give me a break.
Milady, please stay strong.
Kya?
Kya.
After seeing that hell on earth inside the storehouse, this is nothing. Really? Good for you.
Dang.
I feel like my head's gonna explode.
Is she seeing the little girl?
This is the dining hall, right? Every day this is where I'd eat, complain about school, complain about homework, talk to my dad about my grades. That's what this place is to me.
Milady, it wouldn't be good to remain here any longer. Let's return to the parlor.
I agree. Uncle Hideyoshi, I think this room will really be important to the police. Don't you think it'd be bad if we trampled all over it? Battler proposed this in a slightly firm voice, as, along with Cannon, he grabbed the pale and shaking Jessica's shoulders.
Everything is just as Battler-san has said. There is nothing more to be gained from remaining in this room.
Nanjo spoke while looking at everyone's pale faces. Even though that horrible scene in the storehouse felt like something not of this world, at least then we'd be able to leave, to cut ourselves off from that place and run away. Everyone had shared in that feeling. However, this dining hall was different. It was in the mansion, the main building of this estate, and as Jessica had said, it should have been one of the most calming places even inside the mansion. It was where all the relatives have eaten lunch and dinner yesterday. The shock of seeing this place smeared with blood reminded us of that horrible spectacle in the storehouse, and forced us to accept that we hadn't really been able to run away from the scene of that tragedy.
I agree too. The culprit might have left traces in this room. Amateurs like us shouldn't stir the place up. Let's leave quickly. Quickly, quickly!
Hideyoshi also understood the meaning of what Battler had said, and pushed everyone to hurry out of the dining hall.
This is still just in the morning, isn't it?
Yep.
Dang.
The way we were then, looking at that blood any longer would have been too harsh. Nobody went against his words. Everyone raced each other out of the dining hall. It was almost as though the last person in the room would be trapped in there, all alone. I am going to... I want to turn you up a little bit, because you're not low on the stream, but you're a little low for me. I don't know where to go to turn you up. Because I got the dang stream covering you in my...
I do have a thingy on my microphone. I wonder if I could do it manually. Does that do anything?
A little bit, yeah. It's fine. It's just a little bit. You're just a little quiet. It's nothing horrible.
Okay, how's that? I twisted it a little more.
Yep.
There we go.
Once in the hallway, we lent a hand to Kumasawa, who was still trembling and leaning against the wall, and we headed back to the parlor together.
Parlor.
Then, Genji returned.
Oh, Genji-san. Were you able to contact the police?
As to that, I am afraid I must apologize.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
A little bit of a song switch up here. I'm not looking them up until we hear a new one. I'm almost certain we've heard all of these now.
I don't know if it was a failure of the radio or something else that caused it, but...
What the... So you couldn't contact the police? Both the phone and the radio failed?
My apologies. A boat will be arriving on Monday morning, and I believe we will be able to borrow their communications equipment.
Isn't there a boat on this island? Can't we just take a little trip out to the Nijima Police Department?
Hideyoshi-san, that would be impossible with this weather. At the very least, we can't do anything until the typhoon passes us by. Kraus-sama's boat is being repaired and is not on the island. Therefore, we must wait for the boat coming on Monday.
How could this happen? 6 people are dead. The phones and radio aren't working and there's no boat. So until the typhoon passes and the boat comes, in other words, until tomorrow morning, we're gonna be stuck here on this island, unable to contact the police, aren't we?
Which means that not just us, but the criminal who killed everyone is also confined to this island.
Ooh. That certainly follows. The culprit who killed everyone is still here on the island.
So, the bastard who killed Dad and the others must still be hiding somewhere, unable to escape. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! I'll catch that bastard. No way I'll hand him over to the police. I'll slice him to bits myself. Ah!
Uh-oh. She's trying to start speaking in tongues. Oh, la, 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 la.
Maria had finally realized that something odd was happening in the parlor. Rather than noticing something odd, it was probably better to say she felt unhappy and neglected, since everyone was getting so excited about something only she didn't know about.
Dang.
Jessica One-chan, did someone die? The way she spoke was completely calm. Just as though she was talking about someone who had appeared on a television drama, as though it was someone else's problem. Jessica probably didn't like that.
You figure.
As though trying to say, "Can't you tell just by looking at me overwhelmed with grief?" she flared up at Maria. They all died! Everyone! Everyone! My dad and Badler's parents, Goda-san and Shannon! And even your mother, too!
Dang. Stop it, Jessica-chan. You aren't the only one who's sad.
Maria-san, I know this will come as a shock, but please listen. Your mother has died.
Mama died? Huh? Yeah. Someone killed her. I know it's sad, but stay strong. How many people died? 6 people! 6 people! Damn it, damn it, damn it! How could anyone do something that cruel? There's a limit to how cruel you can be if you're human. I don't know who it is, but the culprit isn't human. There's no way their blood is red.
What if they're furniture?
Fine boom sound effect.
Oh gosh.
The culprit isn't human. It's just the chosen by the
I don't recall this.
Huh? Hey, Maria? Did you say something just now?
What in the world?
Maria had just said something. But since the words were so remotely separated from the flow and context of the conversation, I couldn't understand them for a second. Oh, he's just stupid.
Okay, alright. And we're POV battler. Gotcha.
When I tried to ask her to repeat it again, I was shocked by the sudden sound of Aunt Natsuhi's loud voice coming from the entrance to the parlor.
Oh, everyone's yelling.
It looked like Aunt Natsuhi and Aunt Eva had returned from their trip to see grandfather. You can't contact them even with the radio? If we can't use it at a time like this, why do we even have an emergency radio?
Invest in pigeons.
My apologies. I was supposed to have a maintenance inspection every year. Ma'am, our pigeons were struck by lightning last night, apparently.
Dang it. Wait, don't you have one of those boat signaling devices that makes a flashing light? Or couldn't you use that to contact the next island?
We do not have such equipment. My sincere apologies. Now Kumasawa looks very pleased with herself.
She's really happy, yeah.
Just then, Kumasawa arrived, pushing a serving cart loaded with breakfast. Oh, I don't think she knows everyone's dead yet, does she?
I can't remember if she was told
She
or not.
just knows about the blood. Since there was no way we'd be able to eat in the dining hall, Hideyoshi had ordered her to take it to the parlor. Why are we eating breakfast here?
Nazi-san, I'll tell you later. More importantly, Eva, how was father?
Judging... That's the wrong voice. Judging... I can't... Oh my god, everything's
gonna...
Wait, it's all fried
happen.
together. Wait.
It's gonna happen a lot.
Judging by the fact that he is not with you, it seems he will not leave his room, even for a situation like this.
He wasn't there. The room was empty. Oh,
Sorry, I
Something-
dripped a little bit.
I was gonna say someone peed. That's the
Yeah.
tip menu. Ooh. What changed? What changed from that line?
He's
Him?
just grayed out.
Oh.
Disappeared from
anything?
his study unnoticed. Kenzo's study has everything from a bed to a toilet to a bathtub, so it is extremely rare for him to go outside. However, he does occasionally go out for a walk on a whim without telling anybody, and his disappearance invariably leads to a huge uproar throughout the house. He usually comes back as soon as he gets hungry. Usually.
Oh,
What the?
we've listened to this one before.
Where could he have gone at a time like this?
Bijima.
I heard there was a murderer on this island. I'm not staying here.
I'll use the pigeons. Okay. Do you mean to say the master has left his study?
That is correct. I was surprised myself. I wonder when he left his room. Do any of you have an idea? Natsuhi looked at Genji and Kenon as she said this. Maybe she was trying to ask whether the servants who served directly under the one-winged eagle knew of a place he might go. However, it was probably the other way around. Their faces made it clear that those who knew Kenzo best realized even more than the rest how impossible it was for him to leave his room.
Even we have no idea.
As you all know, within that study the master had everything, from a place to sleep to a bathroom. I couldn't imagine him leaving that room except for a significant reason.
In that case, what? Isn't it natural to assume that one of those significant reasons came up?
We still cannot be certain that's the case. Anyway, he is a fickle person, so it is possible he went for a walk by himself, unaware of the current situation. If that is the case, then we must act in all haste to tell him what has happened and ask for instructions.
That's right. Although I don't want to think about it, it's possible something has happened to him, isn't it?
I'd rather not even consider such a sinister possibility. No one had seen Kinzo since the discovery of those 6 terrible corpses. On top of that, the phones were broken, the radio wouldn't reach anyone, and there was no way to contact the police. Apparently, the typhoon would leave tomorrow, and a boat would come. But until then, no one could rely on anyone outside the island, nor could they escape the island. The tragedy had hit everyone so abruptly that they'd lost all their composure.
We'll pick it back up.
Everyone felt a heavy silence. Everyone was impatient. Even though they needed to do something, they couldn't think of anything. So some of them held their heads in their arms, while others got irritated. Right now, no one could explain what was occurring on this island, Rokinjima. Glass break? Nope.
Nope.
After that, we ate the breakfast Kumasawa-san had made, which felt dry and tasteless. Of course, this was right after something like that had happened. No one felt particularly hungry. I don't know why it wrote it out slowly like that.
Particularly.
However, we understood logically that not eating would weaken our bodies. It would also be rude to Kumasawa-san, who had made the breakfast. Oops, all mackerel. Kumasawa-san had taken some unusual Western vegetables, ones that Goro-san had probably ordered for his ultra-elaborate meals, and cooked them in a Japanese style, which made them turn an unpleasant color. As to what Goro-san had been planning to cook with those ingredients, right then I couldn't even imagine it. If I did think about it, I'd be reminded of the way Goro-san died, and a sour taste would fill the inside of my mouth. Everyone pretended to eat for their time being. For the time being, not their time. They don't possess the time. For the time being. But of course, no one made much progress. Then, we began pooling our knowledge of the current situation. First off, 6 people, which included Uncle Kraus, my dad, Kirie-san, Aunt Rosa, Goro-san, and Shannon-chan, had been found in the Rose Garden storehouse as brutally mutilated corpses. And yet, we still couldn't contact the police since both the phones and the radio were unusable.
I'm yawning.
So until the typhoon passed, there was nothing we could do. Furthermore, Grandfather, who we might have hoped would be able to show a little leadership in this kind of situation, had disappeared some time ago. Goro-san hadn't made breakfast, so Grandfather's stomach must have been empty. And if he had just been taking a casual walk, we should have been able to hear him whining about how hungry he was by now. And despite that, he hadn't appeared. There was more than a small chance he'd gotten caught up in this crime. According to my aunts, on the way back from Kinzo's study, they'd searched for him, calling out on every floor, but were unable to find him. Considering the timing of it all, it was only reasonable to assume that this disappearance had something to do with the crime. We figured Dad and the rest were probably killed in the dining hall and then painstakingly moved to the storehouse. So maybe Grandfather has already been killed and dragged to some strange place which we simply haven't discovered yet. No one actually said it out loud, but this theory sounded extremely convincing. We will go check that all of the windows and doors are locked. We must also conduct a thorough search for Father. The children must remain in this room. Eva-san and Hideyoshi-san, I'm sorry, but please stay here with the children. I'd like to ask you the same, Dr. Nanjo.
I understand. I will wait here.
Aunt Natsuhi followed the servants, Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Kanon-kun, out of the parlor. All that was left was Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, Dr. Nanjo, and the 4 of us children, A total of 7 people.
They're giving us all the numbers.
Let's all stick together and maybe watch some television while we wait. Though I doubt we'd find anything good in the middle of the day on a Sunday.
Uncle Hideyoshi started acting cheerfully, trying to brighten up this gloomy atmosphere.
Didn't they call it Sunday morning cartoons?
Well, man, Japan thing, maybe.
Oh, maybe. Also, it's not morning.
Yeah, true, he just said in the middle of the day. Good show! Watch it! Watch it!
Oh, really? You want to watch TV, Maria-chan? Then come and watch it with your uncle.
Maria was the only one who joined in. Even though Maria had been told of her mother's death, she didn't show the slightest flicker in her emotions.
You think Hideyoshi's now, like, realizing he's gonna have to adopt Maria?
Oh no!
Or feed her to the wolves. Either way.
Was it really normal for a 9-year-old girl like Maria to act so much like a very young child? Yes!
Nuh-uh.
9 is still
Weird.
pretty young!
She's supposed to have, like, a mortgage by now.
She's not even in double digits yet, and they're over here like, she's so weird, bro, for liking cartoons. What? Everyone else's mood failed to improve, and they each sank absent-mindedly into their sofas. I'm sorry, what?
Grow up. That's
Aniki, can I ask you something?
What is it?
Just now, in the storehouse, you said something about Shannon-chan and a ring. Did you give that to her?
Nuh-uh.
George Aniki didn't answer, but he hung his head and closed both of his eyes. What is the one thing I could say right now to make him cry again? Was that your dead wife? In the
True.
in the shed?
Man, what are the odds that you proposed to her and she died? You gotta feel bad right now.
I guess she really
huh?
didn't want to marry you.
Yeah.
There could be no clearer response.
Oh, she didn't tell you? Man, that must suck.
Quit it, Badler. Figure it out yourself. You're right. I shouldn't have asked. Okay, at least he's smart enough to realize. Oh.
Oh. That's right. It was me. Last night. I proposed to her. That was when I gave her the ring. I told her that tomorrow she should put it on whatever finger she wanted as her answer. Yes, it was a pretty pretentious thing to say.
And that ring had been on the ring finger of Shannon-chan's left hand. She put it on her big toe. Well, several years ago, Shannon came to me asking for advice about you, George Ne-san.
I wonder what she could have said.
And you'll keep wondering because I'm not going to tell you.
Oh.
Shannon was always really bad at lying. It was obvious pretty quickly that you were the one she was talking about. She asked whether it'd be okay for her to get close to someone, even though she was only a servant. She asked about what kinds of things boys like, what kind of clothes she should wear to make them happy. Lots of stuff like that. Well, I guess you could say I felt envious hearing her say that. So then, she was given an engagement ring. Badler! Jesus fucking Christ!
He doesn't.
And it all ended right there? Bro!
Autism be darned. My boy's autistic. No.
Different people value things differently. But being proposed to by a man, well, can be the high point of your life. So I'm sure. Last night, I'm sure Shannon was happy. From the bottom of her heart. Happier than she's ever been since the day of her birth.
Holy moly. Oh. No, I don't know.
George Aniki sighed deeply without raising his head. Or maybe tears had risen to his eyes. Yeah, tears, yeah.
Aw. Yeah, definitely. It seems Shannon was on duty in the guest house last night. But because she was too embarrassed to go back to the guest house with me, she went over to the mansion.
Think about how Shannon must have felt. When you receive an engagement ring, then no matter how much warning you've been given beforehand, it's perfectly normal to get so excited that your mind goes blank. She must have been incredibly embarrassed.
And then Shannon went to the mansion, even though she hadn't been assigned there, helped Koda-san with his work, and got caught up in this crime. If only I hadn't given her that ring. On that day, in that place, Shannon wouldn't have... Sayo wouldn't have been caught up in that crime.
Doink.
Yeah. Yeah!
Kenzo? Aniki, that's the one place where you're wrong. It's definitely wrong. She would have died no matter what.
Bet.
So don't
He's
cry
gonna say it.
anymore.
Let's see how good he is at comforting. Ah.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
You're just wrong. I'm not gonna explain how. You just are.
Batlacoon.
Please leave
Oh,
my son
wait.
alone, you idiot.
No, she's gonna make it worse, isn't she? I can't remember for sure, but I about guarantee. Let's see. Let's leave him be.
After Aunt Eva said that, I stopped talking to him. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Yeah, like your entire opening to that conversation.
That face Ava's making is probably the nicest she's ever gonna
True.
look, like, in terms of like nice. But
True.
it still looks so malicious.
I think it only looks malicious because we know what she's like now.
That's fair.
So we can sense the malice hidden within.
I don't know though. If I saw that, like I sat down at a bus stop and saw that looking at me, I'd be scared.
I'd be sorry.
What?
Jessica sat down next to Aniki and put an arm around him. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Aniki and Shannon's love since the beginning, and who had even discussed that relationship with Shannon, could comfort Aniki now. I went over to Aunt Eva and sat down in the opposite sofa.
Batlacoon, you really are strong. It looks like you've kept a good hold on yourself.
Well, look, the depth of the love becomes the depth of the wound, right?
Never heard that before, but that's deep.
After all, it's not like how that old bastard dies has anything to do with me. I feel bad about Kyrie-san, but, well, she wasn't actually my parent.
My. If that's so, you certainly were crying a lot back then.
Well, I did think at least that much crying was due as gratitude to the parent who raised me.
The speed of that changeover and that dry tone must have come from Rudolph. That kid would always get violently happy, sad, and angry. But he'd always regain his cool immediately afterwards.
It's nothing like that. I haven't really been able to get over the shock yet. I think the only difference between me and everyone else is the kinds of emotions it stirred in me.
What do you mean?
I've been acting much calmer than George, Aniki, and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense, or because I'd already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced gradually with a different emotion. Rather than sad, I'd say I'm more pissed off. What bastard did this, and where? It's kind of been eating at me that I didn't get a chance to smack him upside the face. That was what I really wanted to do.
We've heard this song. This is Suspicion. Okay.
That was what I really wanted to do.
Heard this or not?
I couldn't forgive myself if I just sat there, overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees. Since the time Dad and the others were killed, this island has been covered by the typhoon. Which means the bastard responsible for all this is still somewhere on this island.
Yes, that would seem to be the case. I wonder if they're hiding somewhere in that dark forest even now.
I felt like I'd had a very similar conversation with Kyrie-san the night before. That's right. After the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dinner table last night, we talked about whether or not a 19th person actually exists.
Oh boy.
Aunt Ava, do you think this murder has anything to do with the letter from Beatrice last night?
Also, by the way, we're gonna call out the fact that Rudolph was 100% correct when he was like, I think I'm gonna die tonight.
True.
I don't know how he did what he did, but he did it. Anyway. Oh, that one? Well, I wonder. All of the siblings agree that the mysterious letter was sent to further complicate the problem of father's inheritance. As to whether that and the case this morning are related, it's impossible to tell at this stage.
Was that letter really given to Maria by some witch called Beatrice?
How could it be? All of it was a farce devised by father, wasn't it? He made Shannon-chan or someone wear the dress from the portrait and trick Maria-chan, right? Isn't that just the kind of overly intricate prank father would pull?
Last night, I talked with Kyrie-san about whether Beatrice actually exists, and Kyrie-san also said that Beatrice was probably one of the 18 of us.
Isn't that obvious? There's no one else on this island besides us, right? Then there must be someone amongst us who's pretending to be Beatrice. No,
Close.
Among us.
Close.
Yeah.
There's no one else but us on this island. You think?
Obviously, right? Are you saying there could be someone else here other than us? No one is on this island except us. There are only 18 people. So the one pretending to be Beatrice has to be one of those 18.
Kyrie-san denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around.
Spin the chessboard around!
Even though Aunt Ava hadn't constructed an argument that complicated, her opinion was at least the same.
I need to like develop a graphic of a chessboard spinning that we can hook up to just any time they say it and just on the stream.
Except, if that's the case, our situation starts to look very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank set up by someone or another. However, if we're assuming there's no 19th person, we can't ignore this anymore. In other words, if there is no 19th person, then the culprit who killed Dad and the others is also one of the 18, right? So in other words, the person who killed them is one of the people inside this very mansion right now. Aunt Ava smiled meaningfully. It looked like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning.
The culprit carried the bodies of those 6 into the storehouse. But even that was an impressive feat, don't you think? That shutter is always closed and locked, right? In other words, in order to carry them into the storehouse, the culprit would need to unlock the shutter. Understand?
Is it possible that the shutter was left open by mistake that day?
The servant said it's always kept locked. In other words, unless the culprit took the keys from the servant room, there's no way they could have opened the storehouse. She's starting to get upset with him.
I wonder if the key in the servant's room was the only one.
Genji-san said that was the case, which means the culprit knew where that single key was kept and took it. Just now, I watched when Kanon-kun returned the key to the servant room. The wall was packed with keys, and I don't think a novice would know where or what those keys went to. The culprit was miraculously able to find the storehouse key among all of those. Furthermore, even though the key didn't have a tag or anything sticking to it, they knew it was the key to the storehouse behind the rose garden. And that means they also knew where the storehouse was. I'll say it even clearer. The culprits knew the inside of the servant room well.
Her argument was extremely plain and clear. If the bodies had been found thrown somewhere in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, if there was only one key to the storehouse in the servant room, and it was stored with such a large group of keys, a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This meant the culprit was someone who went into the servant room a lot and was familiar with the locations of the keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which means that one of the servants is the culprit.
I'm sorry, but even I can't tell you any more than that. However, I'll tell you one thing.
What's that?
Oh, it's reasonable to think that the culprits are multiple in number and fairly well armed. They'd have to be, wouldn't they? They had to assault the four in the dining hall and kill them, drag a total of 6 bodies all the way to the storehouse beyond the rose garden, and arrange for that disgusting makeup and the graffiti on the shutter. There's no way that a single culprit could carry out all of that on their own, right?
It made sense. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it wouldn't take so incredibly long, it would take so incredibly long. It was probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved. So what you're saying is that maybe all of the servants were in cahoots.
Please keep it quiet, okay? It wouldn't be right to voice mere speculation like this. And if it really is true, what would you do next? They might not let us leave here alive. This is an opponent who had no trouble killing Nissan and the 3 others. Right now, the only ones I can count on to fight with me are the 3 in my family and maybe you, which comes to a total of 4 people, right? We're no better off than they were last night. In short, it'd be easy for the culprits to massacre the rest of us.
I'd been playing detective with Aunt Eva, trying to expose the person who had killed Dad and the rest before the police did. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick the proof in their face. I'd been so sure that, just like in one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind the crime on this island were far from helpless, and might even be able to massacre all of the remaining people here. And on top of that, this island was like a gigantic closed room, cut off
Oh, I'm yawning.
Yep.
Cut
Gotta
off
get
from
those
the
out.
outside world by the typhoon. So they had a full day until tomorrow to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. In short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where we could get very far by playing detective. To the contrary, we were at a stage where we had to be scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits and cause them to commit another mass murder.
Well, it is just a possibility, right? But I can't bring myself to trust the servants yet. And that doesn't mean I only suspect them. Don't you think there might be some mastermind behind all this?
A mastermind? Why do you say that?
It's just a feeling. Think about what the word servant literally means. It means someone who serves as someone else's arms and legs, right? It was a bunch of Ushiromiya family members who got killed. So naturally, there must be someone involved who stands to gain from that result.
This was also plain and clear. The Ushiromiya family had been right in the middle of discussions about how to distribute the inheritance when grandfather died, which means now literally everyone else besides the servants had also been re-implicated.
Yeah.
If this case followed the standard form of any classic mystery novel, the crime was definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushiromiya family and who was involved in the inheritance problem. So literally any of you.
Except Battler, probably.
He's a blood child, he's in the inheritance somewhere.
Oh, you think he's unreliable as a narrator?
Aunt Ava had probably read a few books in that genre herself. What? Okay, these are books, brother. These are...
No, they're real.
Her argument may have had a few blind assumptions in it, but it was a standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about the key to the shutter. That made it very easy to suspect that one of the servants was involved. And that's why. I don't like it.
What do you mean you don't like it?
Nah. Just talking to myself.
Nah, I'd win.
Nah, Ida.
True.
I tried to dodge her question by joking, but I couldn't erase the sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, her conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach.
Dang, they put that in the bold font.
And I couldn't be satisfied with that. If I tried spinning the chessboard around like I'd learned from Kyrie-san... Did you... What noise did you make for that?
I went, woo woo.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
Hello there. This was exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. If the servants really were the culprits, then wouldn't they hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves? Or they, oh my god, excuse me, they wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Why on earth would they use the Rose Garden shed if they were the ones in charge of the key that could unlock it? The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as the culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies into the storehouse. But what if they knew we'd think that, and put the corpses in the storehouse for that very reason? No, that's completely impossible. Well, it's not impossible, it's just improbable.
No, that's completely impossible, actually.
When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprits carried out that murder, some traces will definitely be found. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it, This way, or if you think about it this way, and look at this murder game from the culprit's side, it's hard to imagine why they'd want to call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people more cautious, or it might make the survivors start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier for the culprit. Give me one moment. I'm replying to a text.
He's getting one moment. I do like this. Like, this is a lot that they're going through with this right now. Battler's prattling a little bit. He's Prattler. Also, the name drop.
Prattler plate.
But it's very important because the one big credit I'll give to Umineko that makes it better, in my opinion, than any other murder mystery ever is that it accounts for every single line of logic you can possibly have to solve these mysteries.
That's why it's 100 hours long.
Yeah, it takes it step by step, every possible thought you can have, pretty much, and goes through and breaks it down, and I like that about it.
All right. It's just like the words of the main character's mother in a novel I read recently called Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. I have not read that personally.
So some interesting thing there.
So true. Spit your shit.
Well, apparently, so obviously the game Higurashi exists within the world of Umineko.
Yeah.
Wait, what did he call it again? Did he call it
Novel.
novel or visual novel?
So it exists as a book, but also, well, kind of spoilers for later.
Battler appears in Higurashi. Spoilers. As a crossover character, so I don't know how canon it is.
But Higurashi characters are in this.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I bet one of the witches did it because they thought it would be funny.
True.
It
Thanks
would
for
be funny.
Yukishi.
I'd laugh.
Yeah. I know exactly. Yeah.
Every story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime.
I still have that little soundbite, just it's on a different soundboard setup.
Right now, we don't know where Grandfather is. We don't know if he's already become a victim or if he's one of the culprits. But this state of confusion must be beneficial to the killer. Yeah. The culprit has absolutely nothing to gain by showing us the bodies in such an obvious way and making us all realize there's been a murder. In fact, this is the perfect place to spin the chessboard around. In other words, showing us the corpses in such a flashy way must be the culprit's goal in and of itself. So, at the very least, to the culprit, the appearance of 6 corpses meant more than the deaths themselves.
Gotcha.
In other words, the culprit wanted this murder on display. To whom? To us. This is a message. The culprit's trying to shove something in our faces. I don't know what it is. At this point in time, this vulgar mass murder isn't making me feel anything except a malice directed towards all of us. Man, maybe that's what it is. Malice towards all of us. Is it? Wimdy? Each one of the survivors has some kind of connection to one of the 6 victims. Uncle Krause's death brought Jessica the grief of losing a family member. The deaths of Dad and Kyrie-san brought me sorrow, while Aunt Rosa's death brought Maria sorrow.
True.
That one's wrong. Goda-san's death probably shocked his fellow servants.
No.
And Shannon-chan's death brought grief to George and Aniki, who had... to George Aniki, who had proposed to her, and Kanon-kun, who had loved her like an older sister. Everyone now on this island has received an equal amount of sadness. Again, not true, because Maria's not sad at all, I think.
Yeah, and I think Kinzo's chilling too.
Also, yeah, well, the kind of the opposite of chilling, but spoilers. Aunt Eva was sure that the servants were in cahoots. But then, how could you explain the deaths of Goda-san and Shannon-chan? They said they didn't want to do it, so the servants killed them to cover their tracks.
Yep.
At any rate, by this argument, the grief caused by the 6 deaths hit everyone but Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi. Yeah, it's not like any of their siblings died or anything.
Exactly.
Even Aunt Eva, who had directed suspicion at the servants and acted as though she herself was beyond suspicion, could not be ruled out as a suspect. Personally, I mean, we talked about this last time, but it was several weeks ago, so I'll just say it to remind everyone. If we're playing devil's advocate, I think Eva is most implicated by this entire situation right now. Anywho, in the first place, she was able to argue that the servants were suspicious by focusing on the shutter's key. But if you look at it from a perspective of motive and who would gain, Aunt Eva's name rises to the top of the list. Precisely. Unless they do the, like, primogeniture thing and now, dang Jessica is the family head.
Oh, we're getting back into it. I'm not sure if this is Suspicion or if this is a different song, but I'll figure it out on a different time. I know what you're thinking, Battler-kun.
No. Huh? No. Please, don't tell anybody about how my head's so full of obscene stuff.
Dang. I'm the one who's going to gain the most from these murders. Since I'm going to be suspected anyway, I might as well get it out in the open.
I did it. No. I tried to dodge the issue by joking around, but apparently it didn't work.
The inheritance will be divided into as many parts as there are siblings. But right now, I'm the only one of the 4 left. All of the assets of the Ushiromiya family will become mine.
I don't think that's how it's going to work, considering that, you know, that each of the siblings had children.
Oh, did I laugh out loud? Sorry.
If Uncle Hideyoshi heard you, he'd say, could you give it a rest? It's not funny.
Also, the name of the song is a new song. This is Scar Sound.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just fooling around, since I'm going to be suspected anyway, no matter how much I try to smooth it over. That's why, from my point of view, this murder might have been designed to cast suspicion on me. Unfortunately, my alibi for last night is weak. Looks at Hideyoshi.
Could you tell me a bit more about last night?
As you know, the discussion between the siblings of how to slice up and eat the inheritance continued until late in the night.
Vor alarm?
But I don't know how late it lasted. My husband and I had woken up early that morning. We were so eepy.
Damn it, I knew you were gonna do that!
I couldn't help it! And a little past midnight, they let us go. We then returned to the guest house and rested there.
We were so eepy. Imagine your, like, older relative who's, like, generations older than you saying that to you.
It'd be something, huh?
Can anyone other than Uncle Hideyoshi prove that? No, wait. It's not like I suspect you or anything, okay? Baka.
Close enough. Oh, are you sure about that?
We have fun with these characters.
Yeah, we do. I don't know if it counts as proof, but when we returned to the guest house, we were greeted by Genji-san, who asked if we needed a towel. I think that should be enough to prove we returned to the guest house a little after midnight. Though if my theory was correct, the servants would all be in cahoots. That wouldn't actually make for much of an alibi. Her eyes almost pointing in two different directions is so off-putting to me.
I was wondering how long it was going to take for one of us to talk about that. Oh. They're not quite, but they're almost. Like, they're just so close to almost pointing in two different directions.
Maybe it's because she's got her head on a swivel, right? She can see, she's got eyes in the back of her head.
She is a mom. That's what they say about moms. They've got eyes in the back of their head. Hey, you've got a point there. Guess that means I'm playing detective with the real culprit right now, huh?
Dang. Oh, now she's straightened him up. However, let me say this for my honor's sake. If I was after the inheritance, I'd never commit such a bizarre set of murders. Fair enough. After all, if I just wanted to make them forfeit their rights to the inheritance, it wouldn't matter to me how they died. Gosh, she's so callous. I love it. It'd be much smarter of me to try and make their deaths look like accidents. Especially, she has thought about this too much. Especially if you're assuming I laid out some careful plan that involved even the servants.
You've got a point there. If you're killing someone for personal gain, you definitely shouldn't make it look like a murder.
Oh, she's back to sideways eyes. Exactly. That's why I'm in such a blue mood. The police will probably treat me like the mastermind and investigate all kinds of things. Not fun at all.
Aunt Eva shrugged with a bitter smile. It was just as easy to suspect Aunt Eva as it was to suspect the servants. So if we spin the chessboard around, does that make it impossible for the culprit to be her, suspicious as she is? Nuh-uh, not at all.
Yeah,
However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way, exactly. No, that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues towards knowing the culprit. That's why murderers from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motives from being discovered. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back and back to front. Are my thoughts bringing me closer to the truth? Or are they...
maybe,
Are they what?
They might be.
Are they what, Battler? Are they what?
That's still not a glass.
Aunt Eva didn't want to talk any more than that, so I folded my arms and headed to the window to cool my head a little. As I looked over the parlor, I saw George Aniki and the others gathered, talking.
Whoa. I just realized the thumbnail for this was Battler and Ava. I didn't realize how fitting it's been for the episode. Because it's been like a dang half hour of them talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked like they were talking about the magic circle that had been painted onto the shutter. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to that time, he started drawing the shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see. Since Maria was second to only grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant.
I think it was probably something like that. There was a mark that looked like a variation of a cross. And then, surrounding the circle all around the perimeter, were these closely packed strange letters on all four sides of the cross, and in the four corners there was something written. It didn't look like the alphabet or something like that. It was what they call ancient characters. And around the top of the circumference there was a small mark. 5 small circles arranged in a plus sign, and straight lines connecting them. Yeah, there definitely was something like that drawn there. Yeah, there's no mistaking the shape. I don't understand the thin characters, but the arrangement was nearly the same.
Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. From what I'd heard, this has been painted on the shutter to the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. It was probably blood. I see. This sure is unsettling.
Yeah.
Grandfather's probably the one who'd want to draw something this weird. Seriously, where did he go? I want to grab him and ask what the hell this is supposed to mean. Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger.
Not very ladylike.
She hadn't gone so far as to say grandfather was the culprit. I would say something, but she's underage, so. But she seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Of course, if you were searching for a link connecting the Ushiromiya family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather. Also, to a person who knew nothing of the occult, this strange mark would have no meaning. Which meant that this might have been something addressed to grandfather. That's right. And the reason the crime was shown to the survivors was so they'd find this. In that case, where had grandfather, the essential recipient of this message, disappeared off to?
Does this shape ring any bells?
No, it actually lets you walk through solid walls.
True. Ooh.
Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. What? Ashland's live? Sorry.
And not watching us?
Pookie just went live and is playing Genshin Impact. I can't believe this.
She's not watching us while
Not true
streaming?
fan.
I'm
Not true fan.
sick.
Not a true fan. Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separated from the events at hand. As though this thing hadn't been drawn on the shutter closed around her mother's corpse. Well, she wasn't there.
My first impression was that the design resembled a German cross.
True.
Ah, it certainly does have that kind of design. Does that mean it has something to do with Germany?
Yes.
The German cross was originally a crest from a religious order of knights and was supposed to protect pilgrims traveling to sacred places.
Why do you know that, Nanjo?
He's old. Old people know things. Also, he's old enough to have probably lived through that, maybe.
True. So, in other words, this magic circle might have some religious meaning? Well, I mean, the cross in general is a very religious symbol.
Nuh-uh.
Me wearing one on my neck right now? This is starting to sound like gibberish. Thanks, Jessica.
She's sad right now.
When I looked over at all of them, preparing to jump into the discussion, I thought he was going to say preparing to jump to conclusions. Something shocked me. Holy moly.
Can you get rid of the, yeah, take a screenshot real quick? I'm going to use that for the thumbnail next stream.
The screenshot thumbnail is just her eye.
What?
Wait, no, you couldn't see it, but wait, it gave me like a little preview of the screenshot when I took the screenshot, and it was just her giant eye. Because it was like condensed down.
That, her eye is so
It's
dark.
like that one scene from Kaguya-sama when they're outside and with the umbrellas.
Yeah. But her eye has no reflection in it. It's absorbing all light.
No, not true. It's reflecting a little bit of like...
But the center...
I don't honestly, given that pattern of light, I do not know what that's supposed to be reflecting.
I mean, I'm gonna guess.
A window?
Maybe.
Ushiromiya got some dang weird windows in their house.
Yeah.
These ones look like normal windows up here.
Alright, let's see what she's got to say.
Here we go. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face.
You're living in one?
Now there is something in her eye. That looks like a silhouette.
Oh, you think that might be Battler with that hair?
I'm not sure.
Might be. Anyway.
And she laughed.
What up?
That eerie, jarring laugh was something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking at it right in front of my eyes. Holy!
Oh, hold on. Can we get the
Yup.
the official audio?
Oh, someone
Got it.
just came here. We have 4 people in the stream now, so like whoever just
Good
got
time to
here.
be here.
Yeah.
I want to hear the official audio for this laugh.
Oh gosh.
We're
Whoops,
Japanese.
that was switching the characters. Where do I go to do this? Oh goodness, wait. Am I crazy? It's options. Here we go. Voices. The voices.
Whoa. Now how do we run it back?
Can I not? I might not be able to.
No.
全然違うよみんな
It sounded like she was about to there for a second, but it cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
こんなの
okay.
見てわかんないかな
Real Maria voice jump scare, by the way.
Alright, get back in there. Holy. I knew it was coming, but... Oh, my music. Quit.
Sorry.
Sake.
While everyone was busy being scared out of their wits, Maria kept on cackling happily by herself. After a while, that laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off. But her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria. This is the 7th magic circle of the sun. The characters are written in Hebrew. Give it here. Sure. Maria stole the writing materials from the stunned Hideyoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle with a rustle right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn. See? It looked sort of like this, right? Yes. It was... Maria, incredible. You really do know a lot. Jessica tried to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still the Maria we all knew so well. But Maria didn't answer her in any way in particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide. Written on the top and bottom and the left and right are the names of the oh wait, no, this is Maria, sorry. Written on the top and bottom and left and right are the names of the angels who preside over wind, fire, earth, and water. Chazan, Arel, oh.
Dang.
Is it? That's 4. That's Forlach. Forlach and Taliad. And in the 4 corners are the names of the 4 great kings. Ariel, Seraph, Tharsis, and Cherub. Is that what you saw? Even if they hadn't been able to correctly write what they'd seen. When we were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize the two were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo nodded over and over again. There's no mistake. God damn it. I did it again.
There's no mistake. That's it. I'm sure there were characters that looked like that. How were you able to write something like that? There were also characters written around the circumference.
I know. Like this, right? Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing. It's from Psalms of the Old Testament, the 16th and 17th verses of the 116th Psalm. You must have at least read the Bible, right?
Hey.
Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Maria laughed. For a while, everyone including me was at a loss for words. A little later, George Aniki returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak.
That's incredible. I'm surprised. So, what meaning does this magic circle have?
It's a magic circle to borrow the power of the sun. He who wears it as a talisman drawn in gold shall be able to break free from the bonds of any prison and receive the power to gain freedom. To break free from bonds and gain freedom? It sounds deep. The word bonds is not limited to its interpretation to some kind of physical object. Therefore, it does not only hold meaning for people locked up in an actual jail. It can also refer to the release from mental bonds, such as ties of obligation and inescapable fate. Ties of obligation and inescapable fate, you say? That's also pretty deep.
I gotta say, on the little Discord preview of your stream, it still has the very creepy Maria face, and I feel like I'm cursed. I'm hoping it goes away.
Oh. But I really don't understand. What does this have to do with those 6 bodies? Far from being released, they were killed and stuffed in a storehouse, weren't they?
It's not like the magic circle was drawn for their sakes. The 6 of them were there for the sake of the magic circle. It is truly pitiable.
What do you mean? What in the world do you mean when you say the 6 of them were there for the sake of the magic circle?
George hasn't read the Bible. Maria lifted up her pointer finger and waggled it as if she were making fun of us. I don't think she as if is making fun of you. I think she is making fun of you.
True.
That's written around the circumference. Can't you read it? Psalms chapter 116 verses 16 and 17. I'll read it for you.
Dang.
The Lord has freed me from my chains. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord. See? See, you say. I've got no idea what you're talking about. You're saying they're human sacrifices. If what Maria had just read aloud was a vital part of the magic circle, then it was saying that sacrifices had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So, human sacrifices had been offered inside the storehouse, where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later,
She's still looking at me.
everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. You're the next human sacrifice, bucko. Some people were
guess.
shocked, and others spat out that this was insane as they punched their knees.
I also can't find what the name of this song is, which is killing me because it's one of the most used songs. I
My
swear.
witch is golden.
And, wait. No. Fuck.
It sounds similar. Probably has the
Yeah, for a
same
minute,
leitmotif.
I thought it might have just been the instrumental version of it for a minute there, but no. I don't know. I'll look into it later.
This was starting to get incredibly disturbing. Only now it was getting disturbing, actually.
Not her insanely strained eye that's still looking at me.
And we couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't care what kind of magic circles or curses other people believe in, I won't pick a fight with them. But did they really kill Dad and the rest as sacrifices for crap like that? I just couldn't stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred it when we were still disgusted by the theory about the fight over the inheritance. As I started getting pissed off with a feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gone insane since yesterday.
Yeah, Maria.
There was that letter from the witch Beatrice that Maria had read aloud at last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it feels like like this whole mansion and this whole island have been getting more and more firmly locked inside some kind of bizarre world. That's right. When I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted, and the island was shut off by the typhoon, so you really could call this place another world cut off from the real one by now. Yeah, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and for human sacrifices to be offered up for the sake of magic circles. So what will happen next? Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Bon Festival dance or something?
Probably not.
Ugh. It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up and I don't even know what to think. Anger? Sadness? The opposing emotions all swirled up together and they started to suck me in. Unable to resist, I could do nothing but cover my eyes with my hands and trust to my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. Man's getting sucked.
I suppose he is.
As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was very small. There's no very there, but I put it there because I wanted to. It was from when I was young. There's no very there. I took it away because I wanted to.
Yeah, you're getting it.
I had unfortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV, and for a while I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave me an exaggerated laugh and said this.
Hey, Battler. Why do you think they go to all the trouble to make movies like this about demons and the occult and such? It's 'cause they don't exist. Something that ridiculous can't be found anywhere on the planet. Because they don't exist, people want to see them and go to a lot of effort making them.
That's why those occult movies just make me laugh.
If I were forced to choose, I'd say, rather than demons and monsters, this year's earnings calling angry wives are 100 million times scarier. True. I'll go further, okay? From my point of view,
Getting scared is a recreational emotion. Something for people who've got room to relax both in their hearts and their lifestyles. Not true at all.
so true.
Literally the reason scientists think we have fear is a survival tactic. Literally the opposite of recreation.
It's so fun. They had so much free time, they didn't know what to do with it. So in order to entertain their mind with unusual emotions, People started creating a culture with demons and the occult and stuff.
Thanks, Rudolph.
Bye.
Presumably, at least 10 years ago, Rudolph. Seriously, why have I been acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Huh? Oh, we got so... Okay.
I think this one's called Core.
Don't try to mess with me. This is the human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed Dad and everyone else is still on this island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking to my heart was Kyrie-san. You see, in both chess and shogi, when you reach the very, very last stage of the game and get closer and closer to cornering your opponent, the number of optimal moves you could possibly make gets smaller and smaller. Therefore, if you're backing someone against the wall, or if someone's doing the same to you, both players' moves become infinitely easier to read. In other words, when you're completely cornered and you think you have no moves left, that is the moment when it's easiest to read your opponent. However, when a person is forced into a defensive position, they can't help but lose their ability to think clearly, so they aren't able to get their minds around their opponent's moves. That's when you spin the chessboard around. God damn it. With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now, my eyes were truly open.
I'm so dumb. The name of the Maria song was Fishy Aroma.
When you don't understand anything, you're completely cornered, just like I am now. Isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess at the culprit's scheme. If we spin it around and look at it that way, just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early the next morning.
Right?
In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses in the storehouse. Then, was even kind enough to say, "Here they are," with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd probably find the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the storage shed, the culprit's goal would not have been achieved, would it? If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit, since this morning, they must have been watching our every move with bated breath. After all, if we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse, all of that hard work and preparation they did last night would have just gone poof. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces notably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death, so it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. Ha! After thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who'd just dance to that tune? If you're told, "Please be scared," you can't just say, "Really? Sure thing."
He would say that like that in his head.
When someone tells the great Ushiromiya Battler, "The entrance is right here," I'm the kind of guy who will start wanting to sneak in through the window.
Dang.
Me having sex. Sorry,
You were debating so hard whether or not to say that.
I'll let everyone's minds fill in the gaps for that one.
not talking about literally going in through the window?
No.
Oh.
The next thing that had me concerned was the so-called magic circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown that her knowledge of the occult rivaled grandfather's, had recognized the magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? What purpose would have been worth all that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely, all of us would naturally suspect grandfather. Did they want to make us think grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had even been written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication.
Dang. Hardest lines in literature.
You interrupted my flow.
I'm sorry, it hit too hard.
I wouldn't have laughed if I could have just kept going. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A message is a form of communication. A reaction? For some reason, we couldn't find grandfather now. Damn it. Okay, calm down. Whew. I don't know how grandfather might have spotted the magic circle on the shutter, but did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No. Was it a trap to make us suspect that grandfather had participated? You could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting on this occult show? Somehow, that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who'd asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. Get that disgusting freak away from me.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? You might be. Or will we put off her fake skin first? Pull off her fake skin first. Still kind of as grotesque. Selves.
Whoa.
I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again.
Hold on. The stream's struggling.
Oh.
I noticed because Discord suddenly crapped out. Okay, it looks...
On my end, it's okay.
Okay, it's back now. It stuttered there for a second. My Discord stream stuttered, and then I looked at my phone and it was stuttering, but it looks like we're good now.
Okay. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated, and some acting depressed. I don't think they're acting.
Yeah.
Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she'd never left it, unless Maria was acting depressed, in which case I do think she is acting. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, and giggled.
It makes me think of that one funny anime meme of the little girl that dances at the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. He could be you. He could be me. He could even be...
I didn't have anything to fill in the blank. Rudolph.
Dang. Right now, and Nazi is searching the mansion with the servants. Right. Then we shouldn't say in this room. In this mansion is where the culprit has to be. After all, it's possible Aunt Natsuhi was behind this. And we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Oh, it didn't go. There we go. Anyone could be guilty.
Anyone could be here.
Still, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest sure are taking their time. I bet it was Captain Falcon. Of course, it's not a small mansion. But isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around checking the windows and doors?
They're gossiping.
Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest returned. They were planning how to kill everyone in the parlor.
Yeah.
Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsuhi in shock. Oh, is this the talk I'd had with Aunt Eva started to creep back into my mind.
I think I remember what this is.
The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all of those 6 at once. Yeah! Yeah!
Nazi with the gun.
She got the blicky!
What will she do?
Forgive me if I've startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst. After all, that thing in Aunt Natsuhi's hands was a rifle. Not according to the ATF, but... At a glance, its silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun. But it was unusually short. It kind of looked like a kid-sized weapon. Actually, it might be according to the ATF. I don't remember now. Their definition of what a rifle is changes so regularly.
Yeah.
However, it had a weightiness to it that made it clear it was no kid's toy.
That gun is Kinzo-san's, isn't it?
Did you know about it? That's right. I remembered it was in Father's old collection, and I managed to find it.
Whoa. Awesome.
Guys will really look at a gun and just say, hell yeah. Nazi-san, is that thing real? He didn't call her Aunt Nazi, he said Nazi-san. He's feeling threatened. Yes, it's real. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, Father used it to scare away wild birds.
That takes me back. Where did you find that thing? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it.
Oh. Grandfather had one of these? I didn't know that.
Long ago, Grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films.
He's a Westaboo.
Yep.
Hideo Kojima.
That generation really liked this kind of rifle. Is that a Winchester?
Why
He's so
does
happy.
George know that?
But I've never seen one that short before.
It is
They're
pretty
Mongolian.
impractical to have one that short.
I remember. It's that gun.
You know.
That really takes me back. That's the one Steve McQueen fired off in Wanted, alive or dead. Father sure has good taste.
It is an item the master ordered specifically from America long ago. As you can see, it is a working gun. So please don't tell anyone about this.
Oh yeah, I forgot that that's like not a thing you're allowed to do.
Hyper restrictive gun laws in Japan. Straight
He was
up
quite
illegal.
fond of it. Yeah, they're like, even model ones they don't like, but
Yeah,
anyway.
no.
He was quite fond of it right after he managed to acquire it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridges were more interesting to him than shooting it, and he played around with it back in the forest all the time.
funnily enough, there is a strange fascination that a lot of people have with just... Okay, I don't know, trigger warning for people that don't like guns. I went shooting a few days ago, and I had a friend come over, and he brought a 12-gauge shotgun with him, and I was just sitting there pumping it with nothing in it, because I just like to feel the, like, mechanics of it. There's a strange fascination with just working the mechanism on a gun, I feel.
It's true.
It's like a fidget toy.
We're made for tool making. I watched a minute-long video of how a VHS tape player works.
Yeah.
It was something to behold. I liked it a lot. I'm never going to use a VHS or a VHS player probably for the rest of my life, but I just liked it.
What if there's a... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's rather disturbing. Are you sure you should be dragging this out?
This is to prepare for the worst. There was probably more than one offender involved. Furthermore, those horrible people killed 6 of us, including my husband. I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow in my husband's place. As Natsuhi-san said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Gonna check the walls. Gonna check the floor. Since grandfather wasn't with her, she probably didn't know where he was. I carefully checked all of the doors and windows throughout the mansion. However, we must be prepared for anything. Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here.
Okay. Oh, good point. If everyone's gathered here, then we can all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other.
What do you mean by that, Eva-san?
It was just agreeing. Nothing really.
That's why it's suspicious. She's agreeing with Natsuhi?
I'm just agreeing with your opinion, aren't I? See?
There was a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. Mill fight, mill fight!
Dang.
If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Ava was the obvious answer. Let me check if it's doing that because I'm downloading something. Wait. Nope,
Yeah,
all my Steam downloads are good.
Okay. It just be acting crazy.
However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsuhi was innocent. No. If you view Beatrice's letter as one of Grandfather's complicated pranks and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even Grandfather. Also, Aunt Natsuhi thought the criminal was on the outside. But Aunt Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not the 19th person exists. That same question has been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner with the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice.
Say it.
If you could see the fear that immediately spread across my face. So the culprit.
No.
Oh wait. So was the culprit among us or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist or not? Well, she exists. If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can't exist, damn. You're basically saying that one of these relatives here who share a common bloodline is the culprit. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch.
Fair enough, but also after watching a ton of like court cam stuff, I'd like to see the statistics of how many like violent crimes are family members.
True.
Because I bet it'd be more often family members than not, but I don't know for sure.
A witch. A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices. If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. British maxing? Rubbish?
He did rubbish.
However, Damn common sense got in the way.
Me studying an American education system between the years of 2005 to 2018.
True. It kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. Among us!
Again, I need like an Among Us thing that we can just put on the screen for moments like this, because it's gonna happen again.
In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence. Finally!
Hey! Dang, it's been a minute. How much time's gonna pass? Whoa! That's a lot of time.
Oh. Oh. Did you see that? Did you see that JoJo thing that happened? Not with JoJo, but in Star Rail, they put a blatant JoJo reference in Star Rail with Dr. Ratio.
No, I didn't pay attention.
His technique that he can do, if you don't hit an enemy with it, well, even if you do hit an enemy with it, but it leaves a statue of him on the ground where you hit with it, and one of them is just straight up the Jotaro pointing pose.
Huh. That's funny.
Lunch ended,
Rat IO.
and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. I thought we were all gonna stay in the same room! Shoot them! Shoot them now, Nazi! The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first, it seems as though Nazi planned to stop everyone from taking a step outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. You can go, what, 2 weeks without food?
Well, I'm saying, like, if you have just, like, literally every person go to the kitchen, make
True.
food, eat food, and then return.
In order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the 3 servants to go together, or just all go. All of you could go to the kitchen.
Great. Yeah, let's have 2 groups again. That'll be great, I think.
Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, preventing most of us from eating much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence.
Silent tearing. I will wash the dishes so you can rest a while, Kanon-kun. Genji-san. Do you want something to drink? Mackerel?
A sandwich. I don't need anything. Canon?
I don't need anything either.
He does. He just wants to be like Genji.
True. I immediately assumed the position. As soon as Cannon popped on screen, I put my arm right there.
The victory
I was
position.
ready. Yep. You two must have been so busy and so early in the morning. It's no wonder you're worn out.
The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji...
It had been too long.
It's
since I had
Kenzo!
done
He just comes in through the window. Ah! Genji and Kanon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean they couldn't let it show they could let it show in front of the relatives. Huh. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Kanon opened his mouth and muttered.
Shannon. Why did she have to die in such a horrible way?
Forget about the manner of her death.
Dude, this is the Twin Peaks song. It sounds just like Twin Peaks OST.
It was nothing more than bad luck.
Minute Darkness. I believe this is a new one. You're right. It was nothing more than bad luck.
They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief.
think that Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Poor thing, kawaiso. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. I just wanted to see her smiling face one more time. I feel like I've read this exact line in something else.
Probably.
Crazy. Wait, no, I think Kinzo just said this exact thing.
True.
About
True.
Beatrice.
True. True. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them.
It's because I have one old person voice and my neurons connected the two.
After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Canon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further.
Why did Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon? If she wanted a sacrifice, there were plenty of others to choose from. Why?
Shouldn't have been there, bozo. It was nothing more than bad luck.
Genji is FNAF 4 maxing right now. Tomorrow is another day.
If we were less lucky, you or I might have been lying out there instead of Shannon. Or it could have been someone else entirely. Everything is left to fate.
Genji-sama, you said the door to Madame's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right? The same substance that was painted on the shutter?
Indeed. It was an unsettling mark, almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull out the doorknob. No, scratch through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark.
So does this mean Beatrice-sama came to visit Madame's room and tried to open the door, but couldn't?
No, she changed her mind and killed Shannon because she hates you. She hates you and wants you to be sad. She hates you, stupid.
You're dumb, we hate you.
Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room. With the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob and the marks of something scratching against the door, it had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door but couldn't.
I don't like their doorknob, but anyway.
I don't like the lock. I don't like that it's upside down.
True. Did the Madam avoid being chosen as a sacrifice? If only she'd been chosen.
What if she's the witch? Ooh.
Shannon wouldn't have had to die.
Actually, there are several more sacrifices that happened in the epitaph, so the chances of Shannon dying were still quite high.
Shut your goofy.
Just then, a loud, sharp noise came from in the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised.
Oh, hey.
That's a pretty interesting chat you're having there. Let me join in too. Before any of the servants realized it, Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen.
Battler-sama, how rude of us.
Genji-san and Kanan-kun stood up, surprised, and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their discussion. I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they let me go. I thought I'd suffocate if I was locked up in that room any longer. I was about to come ask you guys for some water, but then I overheard something pretty interesting. You don't need to bow your heads or anything. Please, let me hear the rest.
That just now wasn't really.
I've been listening to you for a while. Don't try to hide it now. So, I'll ask directly. Who is this Beatrice? She's supposed to be a witch from a kid's story, but it doesn't look that way now. Kanon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more.
You've got a habit of that, buddy.
While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt.
Whoa.
Last night, this would have been none of my business. But after this morning, everything's changed. Now the dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business. I have the right to listen to this suspicious story, don't I? I glared into Kanon's eyes as he continued to avert his gaze in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Kanon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a bit.
Battler-san, please let go of him. Kanon-san isn't really hiding anything.
Then you won't have any problem talking about it, right? It's lonely being out of the loop, you know. When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. In his expression were faint traces that he'd made up his mind to do something. Apparently, he had had no intention of hiding it.
I can tell you about it. Kanon only hesitated because you might have taken it badly, Battler-sama.
Hesitating, huh? Not very manly of you. Whatever. Oh, whatever it is you're talking about, it's even more unpleasant having it kept a secret. Tell me about it. It's not like we have anything better to do before tomorrow comes. A slightly spooky story might be the best way to avoid getting bored. Genji-san and Kanon-kun looked at each other and then nodded as though they decided to talk.
Sorry, I was looking at Genji's sprite count in the game, and he has like so few because he's always just stone-faced.
Genji.
It's really funny. Yep. Okay. Understood. Please ask us anything. We will talk.
Right. Then I'll ask, who in the world is Beatrice? All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rokenjima. I've heard it's a story grandmother or someone invented to keep people out of the dangerous forest. Is that wrong?
No, it isn't wrong. It's as you say. Beatrice is a witch who dwells in the forest of Rokenjima.
Battler-sama, I don't expect you to believe this all of a sudden. But Beatrice-sama exists. She is a real person, the one who gave the master a vast amount of gold, and who worked by his side for many years.
Huh? Come on. Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says? I laughed like it was a joke.
True.
But neither Genji-san nor Kanon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa-ba-chan, who was avoiding my eyes, flustered, as she started washing the dishes. So, unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully. Bitterly. I see. That's why Genji-san refused to mention it. If you really mean it, of course I'd take it badly. So you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists?
Yes. She has been working for the master since before the mansion was built on this island. She has most likely been working for him even longer than I have.
What do you know? Kyrie-san's theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice. Is that person on the island now?
Yes,
No rumbly.
I believe that she is here.
That's a vague way to say it. I guess that means you haven't seen her face today. Or yesterday.
That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but
Canon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. Come on, don't just stop there. That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right? I urged him on jokingly again. However, it looked like Canon was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then, Kumasawa Bacham whispered,
ho 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 ho. You cannot see her face because Beatrice-sama has no form.
she has no... What did you say?
Beatrice-sama has no body. Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form.
I have heard that the portrait shows what Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form. It seems he yearned for that figure so much he would often stand in front of that portrait. Oh,
Kinzo down bad.
yeah. Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in the mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them. It is whispered that you will meet with disaster if you do. In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury.
Ban on. Wait a sec. Are you kidding me? Are you all serious about this?
Battler-sama, Beatrice has already arrived. Such language may be unwise.
Beatrice-sama does not like it when she is profaned. If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet with disaster. Battler-san, you probably find this topic unpleasant. But you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist.
I hate when they do that. I hate when they put quotations around random words and I don't know why. This is the one that, like, when I first played through it, started getting me. Every time they did it, I kept being like, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? Every time they put little quotation marks around it.
I know what they mean by that.
She exists. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that.
Can't you tell, Battler-sama? Beatrice-sama has already arrived here.
Come on, quit it.
No.
I'm weak against that stuff. Enough with the cheap threats. However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up, fast.
Battler-san, I beg that you stop profaning Beatrice-sama. Please trust me.
Kumasawa Bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face. Well, even if you say she exists, I don't see anything. Are you trying to say she's standing right behind me or something? Quit joking around.
Mm.
Dang.
Oh. Wow.
And just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen.
Oh.
When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her, her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants. I'm normal now.
Yep.
Whether your wavelength matches or not is determined at birth. Battler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. We already know that he's special, Maria. That's why you can't see her. That's why you can't meet with her. And that's why you can't talk to her.
Yeah.
You're the type Beatrice hates the most. Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie.
Yep.
It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
He alone is the one. Oh, sorry.
He alone is... Do you want to know about Beatrice? Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all of the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold.
Alright, we're
She's...
getting Ars Goetia out here.
Yeah, she's Friren's arch nemesis. They're both
Yeah.
1,000 years old, and Beatrice has control of all the demons.
True. But she is not a demon herself, so would the magic work?
Oh.
Well, if we want to dissect it, actually, Zabrak was designed to kill people before it was reverse engineered to kill demons, so presumably it would still also be able to kill a non-demon.
But she's not a person either. She's a witch.
This is the part where we learn that one of Friren's really weird spells that she's gathered, like Force Fart, kills Beatrice.
Yeah,
It's just
true.
the kill Beatrice spell.
Yeah.
Grandfather built up all the vast wealth of the Ushiromiya family by making a contract with her. Yesterday, I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I? That was real. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe.
Oh, we got a chat.
Huh?
Thank you. We got a chat.
For your
Yep,
palindrome?
we're having a good time with it, that's for sure. I have finished it. This is Levi's first go through, although
Yeah.
he has completed episode 1. We just wanted to put a whole document of everything in here
We
for all
wanted...
the audience.
Yeah, we wanted not only... Because a long time ago, we lamented the fact that there aren't very many playthroughs of Umineko on YouTube. So... It's been a while since we lamented that, but we finally just decided, you know what? We've got Umineko.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play it and put it on the YouTube for everyone to watch and our VODs.
I still hold that I think that this is the greatest story ever put down. I think this is the greatest piece of fiction that exists out there. So hopefully by the end it'll become apparent to everyone that's with us on this journey.
Alright. Where was I? Oh. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense.
I got the 7th one.
It skips over because 7, 8, 9.
Now you're getting it.
What are you talking about?
Sorry.
Witches? Demons? Who told you about that?
Television.
I heard it from Beatrice herself. Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink.
Dang.
She heard it from
that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice as though it was nothing more or less than the truth.
True.
Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time, okay? Who gave you that letter yesterday? I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand?
5.
You don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you?
Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
Oh,
Battler, you still don't understand? Beatrice-sama exists.
She exists, you say. But where?
Like I said, Beatrice-sama exists here.
That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now that the servants' eyes haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking at a spot right behind me. She's right behind me, isn't she?
they can fly now.
Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if there was someone there.
Beatrice is the mighty golden witch who has lived for 1,000 years. But since she can't show her form to humans of the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? That's really sad. It means she truly despises it when people like you, who were born without a fragment of the ability needed to sense magic, deny that she exists. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatrice would have put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler.
Yeah.
Oh, that scorpion keychain. I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but are you saying it really had some power?
Yeah.
If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in that storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now. You're so lucky, Battler.
I see. So if it weren't for that, I'd have been killed by now.
Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? Even though she exists? Right now, over there. Look. Hey, I'll bet you want to believe it now. Believe it. And thank me for giving you that charm.
Datebayo?
If it weren't for that, you'd be in the storehouse right now. But then, maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right?
I'd guess Kyrie. Oh.
Right then, I bust into laughter.
Here comes the music.
Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over.
Wait for the piano to kick in.
Oh, then it's all useless, isn't it, Maria? If that's true, then I'm sorry, but it's all useless.
Zen dameda.
When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her.
I'm grouping.
I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but... Well, I thought I'd put that charm you gave me in my pocket. But I must have dropped it somewhere. So the charm can't be the only reason I'm alive now. And even though I should have been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine.
Oops.
Sorry, but I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes. Sixth senses? Wavelengths? Magic sensitivity? Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I heard the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off.
Dang.
I don't know how much grandfather is paying you. But if you're trying to talk me into joining some cult, believe me, you won't be able to do it that easily.
Maria, check your PayPal. Battler-sama.
You guys are free to believe whatever you want. However, when it comes to the things I believe, the one who decides is always me.
Dang. What a hard line.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen her with my own eyes. I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then, Maria started cackling again.
Well, that's just fine, isn't it? Eventually, even people like you, with totally mismatched wavelengths, will be able to see Beatrice.
Is that so?
Very soon, she will revive. Beatrice will revive. Once that happens, she's promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. There will be absolutely no need for you to doubt or for us to force you to believe. She will appear very soon.
Yeah. Oh, scene change? Finally? That song's called Core, and I don't know why, but it's such a bop.
Core?
Core. I am Core. Core maxing.
Oh, okay. How are we feeling?
We're over the 2-hour mark, and this is a good stopping point, I feel
Yep.
like.
All right.
Not much has happened necessarily.
Ah.
I will say, I think of all the tropes, like the trope of child sensitive to the supernatural, Maria is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
For two main reasons. One, she's not just sensitive to it, it's like her hobby, right?
Yeah.
She likes it. And the second reason being, unlike in other stuff where the kid is sensitive to the things, everyone's like, oh my gosh, this kid's so smart, smarter than the rest of us. In this, everyone's like, shut up, nerd. Everyone hates her for being so weird.
Why can't you
And I like
just
that.
be normal?
Exactly. Oh, that's my big takeaway from this episode.
All right.
Maria's weird.
That's weird. My big takeaway from this episode is everyone's in on it except Battler.
Yeah?
It's a murder-suicide. They're all gonna do it together.
Like, spoilers for a book written in the 1920s or 30s. Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
Everyone's in on it together except for the detective.
Yeah. Precisely. Exactly. Yes. And it will all be revealed in the last 4 paragraphs of Chapter 8. Episode 8, excuse me.
What's your take on the, first off, remember how Maria had that weird reflection in her eyes?
Mm-hmm.
I can see it now if you look at that weird door to the left.
Weird door to the left. Oh, true.
See it? It makes sense now.
True. Okay.
But what's your take on all the servants being like, yeah, she's real. 100%.
Well, we know what my take is.
True.
She's real. 100%.
She simply exists.
Magic exists. I mean, if I were playing devil's advocate here and being Battler pilled, they're in on it. They're either in on it or for some reason do not want to reveal to me specific information, so they're trying to hide it under the guise of being like, yeah, the witch totally exists.
she was in that room for sure.
Or they're very good actors.
Maybe. That or it's what's that thing that used to happen? It does happen from time to time. Collective like schizophrenia.
Oh
or something.
yeah, it's I know what you're talking about. Mass hallucination.
Mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah. Small mass hysteria, but mass hysteria nonetheless.
How much hysteria constitutes mass hysteria?
I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier when they said mass murder, referring to the 6 people in the shed. Where I was like, I mean, like, yeah, but like, but no, you know what I mean? I don't know. At what point does it go from multiple homicides to mass murder?
It's
I don't
technically
know
a
where the line
mass murder, but it doesn't really feel like 6 should be a mass
No.
murder, does it?
Mm-mm.
I feel like it should at
I feel
least
like-
be double digits.
That's what I'm thinking. Like 10 mass murder, 10 and up.
Yeah.
But
But then again, at the same time, saying 9 homicides doesn't really sound...
not if it was by like one person. Definitely not. That's so many for one person. That's like
True.
over half of a Big Brother cast.
But if everyone's in on it, then it's not one person.
Then I feel okay with it because then it could be like 9 separate homicides. that
Precisely.
happen in the same area.
But it's only 6, because only 6 people are dead right now.
True.
That we know of, confirmed.
Yeah.
We do have, we'll leave it on this so everyone can see it.
Yep.
We do have a missing Kenzo, and we have
He's
6
black and white.
confirmed kills.
Dang.
Kenzo ain't got no arms.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Lost him in the war.
Perhaps. He sold them to
Okay.
get that gun.
Probably. All right, everybody. Catch us next
Yep.
week. We'll have
Next week.
a video out on Saturday. I'll be back streaming on Tuesday, and we'll be back with this more on next Thursday. as
Yep,
far
gonna
as we
try to
know
get
so
back
far.
into annually doing it again until the next big kind of holiday break time for us.
Yeah.
Or just until our circumstances change and we just like change stream days or something. But anyways, see you
Yeah.
all